Congratulations to Paul Skenes, the National League's Rookie of the Year. A very much known thing, or it should have been known, was made official last night. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports, and this is Daily Shot of Pirates. It comes your way bright and early every weekday if you're into football and or hockey. I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Penguins in the same place that you found this. Skenes winning Rookie of the Year couldn't have been a surprise to anyone outside of San Diego. There, of course, was some sentiment there, and I guess maybe in other places, that Jackson Merrill deserved consideration, had a wonderful year, but it wasn't historic, sorry. 23 first-place votes for Skenes, 7 for Merrill. Jackson Chourio of the Brewers, a consensus third-place choice among the voters from the Baseball Writers Association of America. And this is cool, to paraphrase from something that Skenes said on MLB Network as soon as he found out, and that was all he said. First Rookie of the Year for the Pirates since Jason Bay 20 years ago. And for as much as we can reasonably come to expect greatness from this kid, I don't know about you, but I'm never going to feel comfortable taking it for granted. In fact, given the management and the ownership of this franchise, I'm not going to take much of anything for granted as it relates to Skenes' past, present, or for that matter, the future. And speaking of the future, both Bob Nutting and Ben Cherington issued written statements accompanying Skenes' award. I'm going to read these to you in full from Nutting. Today is a very exciting day for Paul, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and for me. While expectations for Paul were certainly high, he exceeded what most thought was possible. During his first Major League season, he brought tremendous competitiveness and talent to our pitching staff. We're extremely proud of all that Paul has accomplished during his historic rookie season. I look forward to the great future ahead for him and our organization. This was Cherington's, or part of Cherington's statement. He's a big part of the future of the Pirates, and we're excited for what's to come from him and our team. End quote. So, the owner talked about Skenes having a future with the Pirates. The GM talked about Skenes having a future with the Pirates. In the final week of the regular season, something that I'm sure didn't catch many people's attention, nor should it have at that time of year. But Kevin Graves, one of Cherington's assistant GMs, substituted for Cherington on his weekly radio show, and for reasons I can't begin to comprehend, spoke openly about the Pirates' desire to keep Skenes in the fold for the very long term. To date, Graves is the only person to say such a thing, but it was said, and I'm going to guess he wasn't speaking out of turn. Now, as I've shared with you before, the concept of keeping Skenes isn't at all outlandish, believe it or not. At least not in the sense that a team with the Pirates' revenues can afford to do it. And the reason for that is that he's got 5 years in which they control his rights. In 2 of those years, they can stamp him with any salary they like. They could stick him with minimum wage. And there's nothing anybody can do up to and including Skenes. For the 3 years after that, he's arbitration eligible, and that's when an arbitrator comes in, if needed, if the team and the player can't settle on their own, and assigns what they feel is a fair figure based on that player's performance and availability. The latter is actually a really big deal in those settings. And after that, poof, you're a free agent. And in Skenes' case, of course, you're gone. So what you have to do if you're the team in this scenario is you have to really pay up over the next couple of years money that Skenes has absolutely no right to expect. No player does in their first 3 years in the majors. That's just the way the labor agreement's drawn up. And then you have to pay what would be considered, I think, a more than fair rate via arbitration, where someone like Skenes, if he continues to perform as he did as a rookie, is highly probable to break the arbitration records. And then from there, you've got to buy a couple of years of free agency, or you're just wasting everyone's time. In other words, you're not putting the team at any advantage. You could just keep Skenes for the next 5 years, go by the system, and then watch him walk. You've got to get a couple years, at the least, of the free agency portion of his career. And that, of course, involves money that we can't even fathom right now. But can it be done? Yes, absolutely, unequivocally, undeniably, yes. And the reason for that is the front-loading of such a contract would allow you to do something that no other team can, and that's to pay him now. And as anyone in any financial realm can attest, money that you have now is always worth more than money that you'll have then. Because, you can do things with it. You can invest it. You can allow it to grow. And on top of all that, you've got security. I don't want to be the guy to mention some potentially ugly things that could happen along the way, but, Skenes is human, just like Steven Strasburg was human. And money that you have in the bank, here again, is better than money that you're just assuming will be there. Or money that you have guaranteed is probably a better way to word that. So there's something for the team to gain. There's something for the player to gain by doing this. And now for the elephant in the room, I should say like the whole herd of elephants in the room, is that you've got to get Nutting to do something that he's never come close to doing in the past. And respectfully to Brian Reynolds and Brian Hayes and Mitch Keller and other players who've been extended by the Pirates in the past, this is not anything like that. This is not in that same stratosphere. And I could go on and on about the benefits to having Skenes signed, the financial benefits, how much he brings in terms of attendance or TV ratings or everything else that makes the Pirates money. I could do that, and I'm wasting my breath because Nutting is risk averse. He's only going to be thinking about the money going out and not potential new monies coming in. It's just how he is. So what future exactly are they describing here? When we come back, J1Q.
It's Gun Storage Check Week. Help prevent unwanted access to your firearms. No one wants their unsecured gun to be used in an accident, a suicide, or a crime. Use lockboxes, safes, and locks to secure your firearms. Learn more at gunstoragechek.org. That's gunstoragechek.org. Brought to you by NSSF, the Firearm Industry Trade Association.
Today's J1Q comes from Robert, who asks, DK, where does Johan Oviedo fall into this rotation? Could he be used as trade bait, or do you see him becoming a large part of this rotation the way he was 2 years ago? The easy answer I can give you here is that he has to come into Bradenton and show that he's fully healthy. He has to show that he can handle being built up to starter type innings. And then from there, he needs to be built up into starter type innings. So counting on Oviedo to be there for you through the whole 2025 season, I'm sure that's something they're going to tell him. I'm also sure that it's something that has very, very little precedent. Oviedo, if you'll recall, had his surgery a little bit after the 2023 season, in which the Pirates, for some insane reason, kept pitching him into September, including this meaningless weekend finale game in Philadelphia, when he had long since passed what should have been a reasonable innings limit for the year. And yes, I very, very much believe in pitch limits, inning limits. I'm not sure how, in all honesty, with all the evidence that exists, anybody doesn't believe in that. But the Pirates should have known better. They really blew it in this case. And so Oviedo's going to miss the requisite It's 14 months is the terminology that they'll use most often now, meaning for Tommy John. And that would put him right in that start of spring training time frame. But I'll repeat here that you can't do that. You can't just say, oh yeah, he looks good, he's going to start right out of the gate. He's going to have to show himself in the minor leagues, not from a stuff or command standpoint, but from a durability standpoint, from a health standpoint. So to me, he's one of those guys that you're kind of like, if you get him, you get him. You're happy to get him. If you get him as a reliever or even a long reliever or whatever it is, you're happy to have him back. But when I'm looking at this rotation, I'm looking at the obvious three: Paul Skenes, Jared Jones, Mitch Keller. I happen to believe that Luis Ortiz has earned a spot in the big league rotation. They might not. They seem, for whatever reason, to not tire of dumping on him. And then that leaves your fifth spot for a Bailey Falter or someone else or multiple someone else's, given the way rotations tend to play out over 162 games. So that's maybe the one area of the team where you can say, we'll welcome back Oviedo when we get him and not really worry about it much. The Pirates should have significant starting pitching in 2025. I don't think anyone can deny that. I appreciate the question. I appreciate everyone listening to Daily Shot of Pirates. Going to do another one of these tomorrow.